Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Stewart here from Spain Speaks. With the Spain news update, we'll have a look at some of the main stories that have caught my attention in the Spanish press recently, and we'll also have a look at some of the comments that have been left by viewers on the channel in recent times. Also, straight into the news, and the Galician environmental crisis is dominating headlines still, even international press. And as we can read here, plastic gets political as it washes ashore in Spain. In northern Spain's Galicia, the ruling Conservative Popular Party is facing a toxic election challenge from another PP, plastic pollution. Since mid-December, millions of microplastics have washed up on the coast of Galicia in the form of plastic pellets, the raw plastic beads used to make new products, after a ship spillage in the Atlantic last month. It's a huge white tide and an ecological disaster, Surfrider said, warning the pollution threatens the entire Atlantic coast. But Alfonso Villares Bermudez, Galicia's Sea Minister, insists all the fuss is overblown, essentially arguing that consuming plastic is part of modern life. Anyone can accidentally eat plastics, he told Spanish reporters on Wednesday. They enter where they enter and leave where they leave, referring to the digestive tract. So there we go, the Galician environmental issue, a disaster for some, with millions of those tiny plastic pellets washing up on beaches and in the sea there in Galicia, but overblown according to regional politicians. Because consuming plastic or eating plastic is part of everyday life, according to that Galician politician. So let me know what you think in the comment section below, environmental disaster or part of everyday life, the consumption of tiny plastic pellets. Let me know. Now, keeping on politics here in Spain, we know that last week was a difficult week for the government. They struggled to get some of their new decrees passed in the Senate. 2 of the 3 new decrees they managed to get over the line thanks to Catalonian separatist parties, but one important decree related to unemployment benefits here in Spain didn't get over the line. And the reason, left-wing political party Podemos was trying to get back at Labour Minister Yolanda Díaz. Well, Pedro Sánchez has had enough, and it's been announced that Felix Bolanos, the jack of all trades in that socialist government, will now be dealing with Podemos and not Yolanda Díaz. As we can read here, Bolanos takes control of negotiations with Podemos after Díaz fiasco. One of the people who experienced firsthand the agonising and also chaotic negotiations of the government to save its decrees, walked through the corridors of the Senate building last Wednesday afternoon. He looked up, opened his eyes as if they were going to pop out, and sighed a deep sigh that ended in a smile. For the socialist sector of the government, the day had a happy ending, but not so much for Sumar, which saw Yolanda Díaz suffer a hard blow after Podemos overturned the law promoted by the Labour Ministry, which included the reform of unemployment benefits, a defeat that has left internal wounds in the coalition and which, according to the government, forces them to take action on the matter. So Felix Bolanos, jack of all trade in the government, as I mentioned, now dealing directly with Podemos, because basically any ideas that are put forward by Yolanda Díaz and her ministry over the next few years are going to be automatically knocked back by Podemos. Because for Podemos, obviously, revenge is a dish best served cold. Now, a story that we spoke about last week about a Spanish woman that was refused entry into the UK because apparently she didn't have all of the necessary papers to enter that country is still making headlines here in Spain. And as we can read here, the expulsion of Maria and the 2,000 Spaniards refused entry to the UK. The UK is filling up with Marias who cannot return home because of Brexit. The case of the 34-year-old Spanish designer and veterinary student who was unable to join her husband and dog in Bedfordshire and was sent off on a return flight in the middle of Christmas is the latest in the black list of more than 2,000 Spaniards who were met with a slam door in the face when they set foot on British soil. After Brexit, EU citizens are treated as suspects, says a spokesperson for the group The 3 Million. The high number of EU citizens refused entry to the UK speaks volumes. The Home Secretary continues to subject EU migrants to a hostile environment. So, fairly clear clear, the words from that spokesperson, the UK is a hostile environment for people from the European Union. And after reading some of the comments left on that article by irate Spaniards, people would like Spain and other European countries to become hostile environments for people from the UK. Lucky I've got an Australian passport, so I shouldn't have any problems getting into that country should I need to go. And the final piece of news also related to migration, illegal migration here in Spain. And as we can read here, 4 small boats with 449 migrants, including 30 children, arrive on the island of El Hierro. A total of 449 migrants, including 30 children, have arrived on the island of El Hierro aboard 4 boats since Saturday night. Sources from the Maritime Rescue, which had to rescue one of the barges because the engine would not start, told EFE on Sunday. The first of these boats was located at 7:53 p.m. in the Canary Islands and was accompanied to the port of La Restinga by the Guardia Civil's Rio Segura patrol boat. There were 75 people of sub-Saharan origin on this cayuco, including one woman, and it was not necessary to transfer any of them to a medical center. So another 449 African migrants, adding to the thousands of African migrants that have put their lives in danger trying to cross from that continent to either the Canary Islands or mainland Spain. But fortunately for the people on that rickety boat, none of them needed medical assistance when they arrived. Now let's have a look at some of the comments left on videos recently. One here from Leica: I read about the Spanish lady's experience in The Guardian, but from the article couldn't understand why she had been refused entry. The general impression was that it was due to racism, which is The Guardian's take on just about everything, even when race isn't a factor. However, from my personal experience with immigration authorities, when there is any kind of process that is pending, you can stay in the country but can't leave and re-enter regardless of nationality, race or whatever. The bureaucracy has become so onerous around the world that being back in the EU would spare a lot of woe. Yeah, Leica, thanks for the comment, but I don't think that this particular issue has anything to do with racism. I could be wrong, but I think it has more to do with the other thing that you mentioned there, that once you put in some type of process for immigration, you have to stay in the country and you can't leave. And I think that's what the Spanish woman did wrong. She could have applied for some type of visa or residency permit and wasn't allowed to leave the country. She might not have known this, and that's what made it difficult for her or impossible for her to get back into the UK. However, and I'll say it again, I don't know the exact facts in this case, but as we saw in that article earlier, the UK is apparently now hostile ground for European citizens. One here from Ken: Stewart, did your family make fun of your muted Australian accent? Spain's politics seems tranquil as compared to the USA. I'm stupid enough to have believed that we'd return to more sane politics after Trump lost the election. I'm lucky in regard to jet lag, been to Australia and New Zealand probably 7 times, and Europe at least 25 times. No problems. Yeah, Ken, thanks for the comment, and good to see that jet lag is not an issue for you, having travelled to many countries around the world, Europe more than 25 times, and Australia and New Zealand around 7 times. Well done. For me, jet lag is an issue. Don't know why, but every time I travel to Australia and back, I suffer from it. With regard to your first question, the answer is no. People in Australia, my family members in Australia, and the few friends that I have left do not make fun of my muted accent. And that's probably because it doesn't take me long to get back into that old way of speaking. And when it comes to the political situation here in Spain, you could be right. Calmer than in the United States, but 2024 is going to be a big year here, and I imagine 2024 is going to be a big year in the United States also. So we'll hold on to our hats just in case. One here from Yannissi: Hi Stu, welcome back. Curious, I thought Spain and the USA is on nearly the same latitude. The sun rises here at 7:17 a.m., but 8:16 a.m. in Madrid. Seems a little off to me, even considering the Earth's tilt this time of year. Yeah, Yannissi, thanks for the comment, and I'm not 100% sure why that would be. The sun comes up an hour later here in Spain than it does in your part of the United States, despite that similar latitude, but I think it has something to do with the fact that Spain is not on the correct time zone. Spain, as we know, should be on the same time zone as the United Kingdom, Ireland, the Canary Islands and Portugal, but back in the day somebody had the brilliant idea to move Spain onto European time, so we currently sit on the same time zone as France, Germany, and other European countries, and not in the correct time zone. And I think that's the reason why there is that hour difference, because if we went to Portugal, the sun would indeed come up at 7:16 a.m. and not 8:16 a.m., which it does here. But if I'm wrong on that, the comment section is where you can correct me. One here from user: we've been in drought conditions for years in Las Vegas, yet there is constant building. Where there's a lot of money to be made, nothing else matters. It's always kicking the can down the road. Yeah, user, thanks for the comment, and referring to some comments made yesterday by the owner of a huge hotel chain here in Spain, Mr. Barceló, and the Barceló group of hotels. He said that 80 million tourists, no problem. Bring in more. Spain could handle over 100 million tourists with no strain on the environment or sustainability issues. But of course, as you point out in your comment there, where there is money to be made, nothing else matters. And I'm sure that's the case for Mr. Barceló and company. But again, I'm not an expert, but if you are, comment section is the place for you also. One here from Paul: what happened to your dog while you were away? Yeah, Paul, thanks for the comment, and I'm going to be honest, it's always a dilemma when we go away, what to do with our little dog Mia. Where do we leave her? Normally we try friends and family first. That's what we did this time. The first day I left her with a lady who has 5 dogs, and she looks after dogs. She charged me 19 euros per night. Mia was there for 2 nights, so 38 euros while she was there. Then she was picked up by my mother-in-law, my partner's mother, and taken off there for the next 3 weeks. And basically, in my opinion, those are the best choices if you have pets here in Spain. Try to leave them with family members or somebody who has a home and is willing to take your dog or cat in. There are other options, for example, these canine hotels, but I wouldn't leave them there unless you go and check it out beforehand, because we had an experience a few years ago, or many years ago, with the dog that we had left her in one of these places and she came back with kennel cough and other issues. So always the dilemma for pet owners, at least in my experience, to find somewhere good for your pet to go when you go away on holidays and you can't take your pet with you, which was our case going to Australia. One here from Animalistic: when I was younger, the Aussies told me Castlemaine was the beer of choice. Yeah, Animalistic, thanks for the comment, and obviously the people that you knew back then were from Queensland, because those are the only people that drink that beer. Castlemaine 4X. There was a bit of a push on back in the 1980s and 90s to get the rest of Australia to drink 4X, but it's absolutely shocking in my opinion. But it is one of those traditional beers in Australia. People feel nostalgic for these beers. It happens in Western Australia where I come from. You see people drinking Swan Lager sometimes. You also see people drinking Emu Export. Same happens in South Australia with their beers. Same happens in Victoria with the beers they have there. New South Wales with Tui's, and Queensland, of course, with the 4X brand. But if I don't see 4X for the rest of the time that I'm on this planet, I'll die a happy man. And the final one here from Jonathan: 100 million tourists. Perhaps it can be done sustainably, but will you be able to find a spot on the beach or a drink at the bar? Yeah, Jonathan, thanks for the comment, and thanks for posing that question at the end. A very important question for anybody who likes to go to the beach and have a drink here in Spain. Will you be able to find a spot on the beach to put down your towel, and will you find a spot at the local chiringuito to have a nice cold cerveza? Some very important questions there, but I don't think the owner of that big hotel chain Barceló is interested in that either. On that note, I'm going to wrap the video up. Questions and comments, please leave them in the section below. Debate the video out as you normally do. If you have an opinion on any of the topics that I have spoken about today, the comment section is the place for you. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. I'll see you in the next one. Hasta luego.